Are you having trouble getting accurate color balance? Are you spending too much time editing and tweaking your images? Then understanding how to use custom white balance could be exactly what you need.
Welcome to the Visual Center. I'm Carlos, and it's here we talk all about photography and visual art. And in this video, I'm talking about custom white balance, how to set it in your camera, some tools and techniques you can use that are helpful, and I'll even show you how custom white balance works with extreme situations, like these crazy colored lights. But first, when would you need to use custom white balance? And to answer that, we look back at the white balance video I made previously. In that video, I mentioned how every light source has its own color temperature. Sometimes you'll be in situations that use more than one type of light source. And in that situation, your white balance presets will only balance for one of the light sources, and the other one will contaminate the color in your image. So let me show you an example of what that would look like. I've got two different lighting sources here. This one is daylight, this one is tungsten. So if I take my camera and I set my white balance to daylight and take a photo, and then I'll change my white balance to tungsten and take a photo, you can see the differences in color temperature in each of those images, and you can see that neither one looks quite right. So now let's set a custom white balance. And to do that, we're going to need a few things. First, you're going to need to know where on your camera to set custom white balance. Now I can show you on my camera, and I will, but there's so many different models of cameras out there, and they do custom white balance slightly differently. Your best bet is to download the PDF of your user manual. I like downloading the PDF because then you can do a search term and find exactly where in that user manual to find what you need. Another thing you'll need is something white. And you can use a plain white sheet of paper, or you can use a wall, or I've even used a guy with a white shirt. Whatever you use, make sure it's a pure white. If it's an off-white or anything like that, it can throw off your custom white balance. Okay, so I'm going to first place my white piece of paper in the lighting setup that I have. I'm going to change my camera to custom white balance. And you want to make sure that you have a correct exposure before you do this white balance. So on my camera, I'm going to hold down my white balance button. And on my screen, the white balance will start blinking, and it wants me to take a photo. So I'm going to zoom in, fill the frame with this paper, and take a picture. And my screen will either say good or no good. If it says no good, then I need to do it again. If it says good, then I'm good to go, and I have my custom white balance. I can take my white paper out, and I can take a new photo. And there I can see the colors are now all corrected, and the white balance looks good. And that's all it takes to do a custom white balance. Now, to improve your results, they make some special tools that were designed to help with white balance and color. First, we have what's called a white balance target. And these come in several varieties. Some will be all gray, some will have the 3 strips of white, medium gray, and black. Some will have different targets in the middle to focus on. But this works just the same way as the paper did in our example. You would fill the frame with this, do your custom white balance, and you're good to go. Now, what if you're in a situation where this wouldn't be very practical? Let's say you're a wedding photographer and you're constantly moving in and out of different lighting sources. Well, stopping to do a custom white balance might waste a lot of valuable time, and you might miss that special moment. This is where shooting in RAW and using a gray card would be very useful. Shooting in the RAW format has a lot of benefits, and we'll make another video that talks all about them. But one of those benefits is the flexibility and control you have over color and white balance. Combine that with the use of a gray card, and you have a white balance correction system in your back pocket. A gray card was originally designed to help with exposure. Your light meter was designed to read reflected light, and reflected light is about 18% reflectance. And so they designed the gray card to be 18% gray. So what you would do is you would fill the frame with this gray card in the lighting situation that you're in, and you would meter for the card, and that should give you an exact exposure for that situation. What does that have to do with white balance? Well, your image editing software can use a similar method to do a quick color correction. So what you would do if you find your light source changing, instead of changing the settings in your camera, just take a quick snapshot of the gray card, and you can use that photo to create a color correction that will apply to all the other photos after it. Now we'll talk about batch editing in another video. Similarly, you could use a Colorchecker Passport. Now this would just help you fine-tune your results, and it can be a little bit more accurate than some of the gray cards. The Passport has a couple different ways you can use it too. It has a gray card you can use in the same manner, but it also has a section to give you a little more creative control. These patches are used to make your color balance warmer or cooler. Now, let's take a look at using these methods in an extreme situation. I have two light panels set up, and I've put a purple gel in one and a kind of teal green gel in the other. I picked two colors that are not normal color temperatures to show you that your custom white balance can even work with crazy colors. Okay, so we're going to start by photographing our friend Caesar Augustus here with no white balance tools. I'm going to set my camera to daylight white balance, and we're going to take a quick picture just as is. And here you can see that the image is just covered in these weird colors, the teal green and the purple. So now I'm going to use the white balance target. I'm going to set my camera to white balance. I'll hold the button down until it starts blinking, put my target out there, take a picture, and it says good. So now I'm going to use this new custom white balance and take a photo. And now I'm going to go back to daylight white balance, and I'm going to use the gray card. So I'm just going to stick that in the frame. So light is hitting it. And take a quick snapshot. And take a photo after it. Okay, now we're going to use the Colorchecker Passport. Put that in the frame. And take a photo after it. Now let's jump onto the computer and we'll take a look at these photos. Okay, now that we have these images pulled up in Lightroom, we can see them side by side, and we can see it clearly that there's a difference between them. This one was shot in daylight with the mixed lighting, and this one was shot with the custom white balance. This one may seem a little bit muddy, but particularly you want to take a look at the white paper that was underneath of it. This one starts to go a little bit whiter, but it's still feeling a little bit green. So one thing to keep in mind is that even though you do a custom white balance, you still might need to tweak it a little bit, especially in extreme situations like these. The colors were so extreme that it didn't do quite a perfect job. If it's a mild mixture of lighting, then a lot of times it'll do it really well. But because they were so extreme, there's still a little bit of hint of green in there. I believe the green light was a little bit stronger than the purple anyway. But if we go over to the develop module, now we can also go to the gray card, and this is how you use the gray card. You would take the photo that has the gray card in it, you would grab the eyedropper, and you just click right on that card, and it should white balance it nicely. You can look down here on the white area. It's looking nice and clean and white. Even though these colors got really extreme, they're colored lights, so there's obviously going to be color in your photo. But you can see down here white does look white, and it doesn't look blue or green or purple. You can then take this and go to the next photo that you took after it, and you can apply those same settings. So if we go back to this one, if we open this panel, I can copy my white balance settings, and then I can go to the next photo, and then I can paste those settings, and that photo will be balanced. Okay. I can do the same thing with the Colorchecker Passport, right? We can grab the eyedropper. We can go to any one of these patches, right? And that should balance our image. Now the difference with this is that these patches will either warm or cool your image depending on the style that you want. So it gives you a little bit more fine-tuning capability. So I can go over here, and if I want it warmer, or there's these landscape ones, right? So they can go or neutral, warmer. Okay, each one is going to change the image just a little bit. And you can see you can use that to fine-tune your balance and do it to your own taste, right? Add your own little style to it. And whichever one you settle on, you can copy that, copy the white balance, go to the photo that came after it, and say paste. Okay, and those white balances will look the same. So now you know a few ways you can add custom white balance to your workflow. To stay up to date with all our new videos, make sure you subscribe and hit the bell for notifications. And we'll see you in the next video.